Hello, and welcome to our video on engagements and MyShares. In this video, we're going to discuss who has access to the engagement section, define a few key terms, become familiar with the engagement section of Tiled, and review the MyShares section. To get started, we're going to explore the engagement section of an established Tiled account. If you've been sharing your microapps already, you may be able to follow along with us in your own account. However, this brings us to our first topic: who can see engagements? While both admins and editors can see engagements, there's one small difference. Editors can only see engagements for the group that they're in. We'll talk about what base users can see shortly. Once we log into our Tiled account, we can click Engagement in the primary navigation at the top of the page. This brings us to the overall activity page. This page breaks down into three primary sections: users, microapps, and latest user activity. Before we jump into those sections, though, there's a few terms here we need to define: user, recipient, session, user session, and non-user session. Toheeb, Hannah, and Jonathan are going to help me illustrate these terms and what their actions result in. Let's start with who we are talking about when we view engagements. When we use the term user, we're specifically referring to one of the people that you've added to your Tiled platform. These are typically your sales reps, marketers, CSMs, and direct Tiled users. In our case, this includes both Toheeb, our designer, and Hannah, our sales rep. In contrast, the recipient is the person who was sent the microapp by direct share or other sharing method. Depending on what you're using your microapps for, your recipients could be Tiled users, such as using a company newsletter microapp. However, you'll likely find that most recipients are leads, prospects, customers, or other external third parties. For our purposes, this is Jonathan. Now that we have the who, let's talk about the what: sessions. A session is defined by the activity within a microapp from when the microapp is first opened to when it's closed or our activity has exceeded 10 minutes of idle time. Toheeb, our designer, has completed his work on the New York City microapp. Now he wants to present it to Hannah via Zoom. He shares his screen, opens the microapp from the library, and that action generates a user session. Each time he opens this microapp, he generates a new session. We can see the engagements impacted here. Hannah then direct shares the microapp with Jonathan. Her actions are recorded in her MyShare section as well as the engagements page itself. Jonathan then receives this email. When he clicks on a link and opens the microapp, his view of the microapp is tracked as a non-user session. With this example in mind, let's break down the sections of the engagements page. This first section shows us what our Tiled users have been up to. The number here tells us how many sessions they've been engaged with. This number can be inflated if your user is also an editor who's frequently viewing the microapp to test and make changes, such as the case here with Madeline. Next, we have the microapps section, which lists all of your published or previously published microapps, as well as their total number of sessions. Finally, latest user activity, which tells you which of your users have been active and what they've been up to. Let's dig into the microapp specific data. We're going to click on the cover image for the microapp. Core Statistics gives us a summary view of sessions, shares, views, and completions. Let's define these terms. We're already familiar with sessions, so we're going to start with shares. Anytime a user shares a microapp directly, through a public link, or using a subtag, this is counted as a single share. A view is when the recipient, in our case Jonathan, clicks on the link and is taken to the microapp. A completion refers to completion events, a feature that will highlight when a viewer has met a designated point in a microapp. Completion events can be created for time, webhooks, pages, videos, specific hotspots, and tiles. We're going to learn all about completion events in a later video, so we're going to leave that there for now. This chart gives us a view of spikes or dips in the engagement of our microapp. Just below it, we see the customer open rate. This number specifically refers to the open rate of any direct share emails. It does not refer to direct links. Most active users provides insight into which of your Tiled users utilizes the microapp the most, while the section below provides a more detailed breakdown of how the microapp is being used. This section is called Aggregated Analytics. It neatly displays a high-level view of what is happening within the microapp itself. To see the nitty-gritty details, we either download a CSV of our data or connect to the data visualization software of our choice via API. For now, we're going to take a look at the summary of that information. Activity by page gives us a look at the most popular pages by total number of views or by the average time spent on that page. This gives us an idea of what our recipients are most and least interested in viewing. Recent activity shows us precisely how our users have engaged with the micro app and when. Now it's time to explore the My Shares section by clicking My Shares in the primary navigation at the top of the page. This page is viewable for all 3 of our users, but it's only going to show what the user themselves has shared. Here we can see when Hannah shared the micro app and how she shared it, as well as the engagement of the person it was shared with, if she shared it directly. If we click on the name of the recipient, we are taken to the analytics for that particular session. These analytics are called Pathway Analytics, and they're available only for direct shares. They allow us to see exactly what our recipient clicked on and in what order, as well as how long they viewed the pages. Want to track something specific? Completion events help us do just that. Join us in our next video to learn more.